Hello, everyone, and welcome to another elite episode of the Get Authentic with Marques show. I'm your host, Marques Ogden. On today's episode, we are joined by Mr. Jason Stuart. And you know what? Let's bring him on down. How you doing today, Jason?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
No problem, my friend. You came highly recommended by my great friends Steven and Robin. They are amazing people. Excited for this interview. First question, Jason. What does the word authentic slash authenticity mean to you?
That's so funny that you say that because lately people have been saying to me, God, you're so yourself. You're so in your own place. You're so real. You're so unaffected. You're so um, genuinely who you are. And I think that's, I guess, it comes with age and exhaustion, right? Just
Oh my
exhausted
God.
trying to figure out what people want and who they want you to be and how to get what you want in life and the things that you're striving for. I just try to be myself, and you just realize that sometimes some people aren't going to like you, and that's just the deal. And
Mm.
sometimes they are, and that's good, and that's the door you want to go open. You don't want to keep knocking on a door over and over and over again by someone who's never really wanted you.
You know, Jason, I always tell people you might as well be yourself because if somebody doesn't like you or is going to talk bad about you, no matter what you do, they're going to do it anyway. One of my mentors is Mel Robbins. In her book, The Let Them Theory, she said, hey, they're going to talk bad about you. Let them. Let them. You can't stop it. So don't try to be somebody that you know you can't sustain because it's not going to make and last. And it's not good for you for the long haul. So I couldn't agree more. So, Jason, please tell our global audience a little bit more about yourself and your work and what you're doing now in your career and how you do what you do in that space.
My global audience. Oh my God. Hi. Hello, the entire globe. How are you? How you doing in Africa? Yeah, Nigeria, is that good? How about
Yeah,
Portugal? I was thinking about
we get
going.
listeners there too. Yes.
Yeah, just wanted to say hello to Japan. Hawaii, sorry, it's a little wet there. Um, you know, oh God, that's so, it feels like I'm just talking to you and then Steve and Robin are listening and I'm still trying to remember who Mel was with the glasses right in the hair, the blonde hair.
That's
She was on
that's
Bill Maher
right.
and couldn't stop talking. I remember she was great.
Yeah.
Um, oh God, what did I say about? I'm an actor. I'm a character actor. I fell in love with Dustin Hoffman at a very early age, and I wanted to be able to play different characters in movies and TV shows. I wanted to be able to go into a room, you know, and change the way I feel. And that's what happened. I mean, I used to go into the movies all the time when I was a kid, and I would watch a movie, and I would see what the movie was about and the subject matter, who was acting it, who was directing it, people that I really dug and loved their work, and I'd be able to go in there and see something from a different point of view, not from my point of view, but from the auteur, the filmmaker's point of view, and that's something I've always wanted to do, and I'm continuing to do that. And I started being a stand-up comic years after, and the reason I started being a comic is because I couldn't get a job as an actor because I was gay, and it was the '80s, and
Hmm.
people. I love your face; it's so funny. Does that really happen? You're how old are you? You're probably much younger than me.
I'm 45, but again,
We,
it's not that. It's just it's really sad that people would look at someone because of who they are and how they live their life and say, "Oh, I'm not going to hire you." That because my father was the first African American bank manager for his bank in the 1970s,
oh,
and
I
my
love that.
dad always taught me hire the best person for the job. Straight, gay, black, white, woman, man. He said, I don't care. Hire the best for the job. And I learned that, Jason, since I was born. So I'm sorry you went through that, but unfortunately, it does not surprise me, unfortunately.
Well, that doesn't happen. You know, the best person for the job doesn't get it. That's just
Sure.
the world that we live in. You know, it's just where we're at right now. I mean, and it's certainly with what's going on in the world and all the madness and chaos that this president has put upon a lot of us. But comedy was really good for me. It made me a little what I call semi-celebrity, gave me a lot of notoriety, and it gave me a lot of work. I've been in over, as an actor and comedian, I've been in over 250 or 60 film and TV shows. And I have recently just produced, directed, co-wrote with this wonderful actress Lee Garlington, and acted along my friends Lee, Alexander Paul from Baywatch, who does what I call a Pamela Anderson. She lets us all know that there is life after Baywatch and you can do serious work from being on a popcorn show. Thank you, Demi Moore, for coining the phrase back again. Kareem Ferguson, my really good friend, has done a lot of wonderful independent films, and he did this really great short called Gay Baby that he won a lot of awards for, and he was on Ryan Murphy's show, and he did that HBO basketball thing. And then Dalila L.A. Raja, who's just like my sister, and she, of course, has been in all the Shonda Rhimes show and is a wonderful writer-producer herself. So I got all these, and Scott Krinsky from Chuck, who's a good pal, who I was in Tangerine with, the Sean Baker film. So I had all these lovely people that I work with that are all my friends, and I wrote parts with them in mind. And Lee and I put the script together after I created the story, and it's about a black family and a white family who live on the same property in the 70s, and when all the parents pass away, who gets the house and why? It's all about generational wealth. Excuse me, got it. I'm sounding a little sexy. Uh, it's a drama, though I do have a great sense of humor, but it is a drama. And it's one of those movies when you go see it and you sit in the dark, I want you to have a different point of view. It's a very big story, redlining, but it's about a small family that is affected by it. So it's a small story about a really big subject.
You know, Jason, before we get into the film and your reasoning for creating such an amazing project, I would love to hear more about that, what I'm going to ask you here in a moment. But before that, Jason, how does being authentic and being who you are help you in the work you do today? I know you had some struggles maybe early in your journey, but now you have done phenomenally over 250, 260 shows, movies. People love your work. You're very well respected. How does being authentic help you to help others and bring out the best in people that you either work with, know, and or interact with?
Wow, God, I feel like I'm in therapy or a 12-step program, and if I don't get the right answer, I got to really say really positive things about myself. This is really hard. Um, because that's not the easiest thing to do is to do that, to say things about yourself. I just really want to do good work. I think it's really important to take your work seriously and not take yourself seriously, and that's what I do. I used to love Terry Garr, who would go on Letterman, and she was so funny, but when you'd see her in a movie, she was just brilliant, and she'd do drama and comedy, and she was such an artist. And I love that. I love that about her, and that's what I want it to be. Dustin Hoffman was the same way. If you see him on TV, he's, when he would do interviews, he was really funny and goofy and sort of like this nice Jewish grandfather, nice Jewish father. It seemed like somebody that had been in my neighborhood. But when you see his work, last night I put on YouTube and I was watching, I guess there's this kid named Dean Withers, and he gets people on all the time. And I think he's just so smart. I think he's 20 years old, and he asks people why they voted for Trump. And when I was done listening to him, because sometimes it's a bit much, all these people, I want to keep myself educated. All of a sudden I went, oh, there's Dustin Hoffman and how he made Midnight Cowboy. Then it went into Dustin Hoffman, how he made Kramer versus Kramer. And I thought, God, it's because he loves the work. The work. And the idea of collaborating with people. Like people say, do you want to star in your own films? No, I just want to play really great supporting roles. I want to disappear into different kind of characters. And I want to work with really talented people. And I want to stop raising money. It's just so hard. And that's the hardest part of it. And then I have this incredible publicist that's helping me. And I want to get my film out in the next, in the next year and all the film festivals, and then we'll release it hopefully on Amazon and YouTube and that kind of thing.
Jason, your response, your response was fantastic because again, you said just don't take yourself seriously, but take your work seriously. And people need to understand that because it's all about work-life balance and also at the same time doing and being your most courageous, real self and putting your best foot forward. That's exactly what it's about. So that answer was phenomenal. So now let's get into your film.
Thank you.
Jason? Oh, absolutely. I don't
want to make any mistakes on this test here. I don't want to make a mistake.
You can't make a mistake, my friend.
I feel like I'm in class. I'm in some sort of college course. I got to be authentic. I got to tell the truth. I got to take the compliments in.
Jason, you're helping so many people that don't have your courage to be their authentic self. And people need to hear because your story is going to help others that don't have the same courage that you do to talk about who you are, talk about what you've been through. And people need to hear that because you're going to move mountains, my friend. Trust me, because a lot of people are like, wow, if he could do that, I'm like that. I have similar situations. I can do it now too. So you're helping a lot of people. So trust me on that. Here's my question, Jason. I'm a big lover of Aristotle, Greek, and I've learned how to like bring into my work. And I want to ask you something. You talk about your project, right? Talk to our audience about the emotion behind what got you so excited, so passionate about doing this film about the black white family on land in the set. Like, what was the emotion and the passion behind this awesome project?
Well, it started with it's the history of my career. So around 10 years ago, I started getting agents all over the country. And I got this agent in New Orleans, and she submitted me for this film called The Birth of a Nation. And it was about black abolitionist Nat Turner. And I'd never heard of Nat Turner. And that made me
Ooh.
sort of mad. And I believe
Mm.
me, I was raised in California, in Los Angeles, Hollywood. So when I was a kid, I put on a tie-dye shirt, I danced in a circle, they gave me a diploma. I swear to God, I was this close to special needs. So the education in this country during those days was not good. Of course, I knew a lot about civil rights. Of course, I knew about Medgar Evans and Martin Luther King and everybody, the names that we all know. But I didn't know about this one specific guy who was the first slave to fight against the white slave owners. And well, I say the first one that actually was told to somebody, which his book was as told to. He didn't write the book; it was told to a white man who actually wrote the book, and which the movie was taken from pieces. And when my agent called me and she said, "We want you to." Be in the audition for this movie called The Birth of a Nation. I said, no, I'm not going to be in a movie that's about white supremacy that brought back the Ku Klux Klan at the turn of the century. I'm not going to be in that remake. She said, no, no, no. It's about taking that title back. And this guy, Nate Parker, was extraordinary to me. He chose me. And it really changed who I was as a human being because it was a great role in a great movie with incredibly talented people, and it gave me an opportunity to do what I call my Dustin Hoffman, is to become somebody else. And that opportunity really changed the way I thought. And I hung around a lot of black people making this movie. And not that that is something that I haven't done before in the past, because I have a lot of black people in my life, some and dear friends and all that kind of stuff. But the idea of being around this experience about this piece of history and the way Nate was holding it and the way he held all of us up, that really was extraordinary to me. And when we got to Sundance, we had a dinner before the screening, and it called it the Birth of a Nation Family Dinner. And I don't come from a family that held me up. So, boy, I always get a little emotional. So this is something I've always wanted to do, is I wanted to be in a movie that meant something, to have a great part in it, to work with great people, for it to get released, and for people to walk into the room and see it and see how good it is. So it changed the way I made the next couple things that I made. The next thing I made was a short film that I directed called Like Father, and it was about a father who wanted his son to forgive him before he passed away. His son was gay. And I did a reading of it at the Writers Guild, and I took that reading and I took that play, which was a playlet, and I made it into a short film. I opened it up and I said, there's this kid that I want to star in it, Nick Few. I want him to play my son in it. And they said, well, he's black. I said, yeah. He said, well, do you want us to change the script? I said, nothing. I said, I just want him to be in it. And then I'd worked with the late Denise Dowse in a play a number of years before, and I loved her work. I said, I want her to play my wife. Yeah, but she's light skinned and he's dark skinned and you're in the same family. I said, yeah, well, I know black people and that happens. I don't have to go through some sort of stereotype thing. I said, this is my experience in life and I don't want, do you want to talk about it? No. We'll do it in the art direction. And we made the house an interesting art direction because my character is somebody who was with his wife for a long time, and he was closeted himself. So at the end of the film, he tells his son, "Look, I'm gay too, but I never acted on it." So I wanted to have a subplot in the back, even though it wasn't shown, that the characters had traveled a lot, and that was what they loved. And they went to Africa, and I had a friend who had this African art all over his house, and all this and things from Prague and things in the house. So we shot in that house, so the house looked like that. You could see it was a multicultural looking house, but we never talked about it, never changed the dialogue. And I wanted to do that. They thought I was crazy first because the character was a very white patrician, and then I said I want my character to be Jewish because I want to do an homage to my dad who just passed away. They thought, oh God, this guy's nuts. And then when I did my film, my TV series with Mitch Hara, we did a series, 2 seasons. I created a series called Smothered about these two guys who have been in a relationship for 30 years who hate each other but couldn't afford to get divorced. And I said, when we cast this, I don't want to put any race, religion, age, sexual preference, anything on any of the parts. I don't even want to put it whether it's a man or a woman. I just want to cast people that are great. And then if it doesn't work, we'll switch it a little. And that was something I wanted to do. So by doing this movie, that changes. So by the time I got to working on redlining, I wanted to do something because my mom had told me how when we moved into our first house, my father was a Holocaust survivor. And when he worked in the necktie manufacturing business. So, and he worked for these two men that owned this factory, and they gave him the down payment for a house. And the reason he got that job was because when he moved to New York after the Holocaust, he went in and he got a job as a janitor in this necktie manufacturing company. Now, he got that job because he was Jewish, because the Jews helped the Jews. So that's generational wealth. You see the Italians help people in the restaurants, the Irish did the bars, the Asians did the nail salons and the restaurants. Everybody helped each other. The Latinos worked in the fields. Everybody hired their, what we would call in my religion, mishbrucha, their family, their friends. And black people didn't have that. And I learned that in the film. And then when I did the film, it took place in Savannah, Georgia, redlining, where we shot Birth of a Nation, and where I also toured as a comedian, so I knew that area, and I wanted to do a film about that area and those people, and the idea that they lived on the same house, except the black people lived in the carriage house. Now, even though this film is a short film, I loaded it with all this history, even though we didn't see it. The idea that the black family, when they grew up, the son, whose father was a gardener, the son became the owner of a flower shop. The cousin who lived with them became a lawyer. I wanted to see people move up. So, but I never said anything about it. It just happened and it was there. And I think that's the kind of filmmaking I want to see, that you see the change, you're not told to change. It isn't forced on you. It just is. And then I wanted to play a gay man who didn't have a voice. I had done another film called Hank, where I played the leading role in it, and it was this guy that didn't have a voice. He was in a relationship, and the one person wanted it to be open, the other wanted it to be closed, and this guy didn't have a voice, and I wanted to continue that character because I'm a talker. And you see I don't want to tell everybody what happens in the film, but you see what happens in the film. So I wanted to share ideas through my work and what I'd learned in life. And the most important thing I think I learned was when I was doing red carpets. You would think, what a crazy time to learn something, right? So I'm doing red carpets for Birth of a Nation, and I did it for probably close to 2 years, going to things, film festivals, premieres of the film, all the things that one has to do to get a film out. And people can watch it now on Amazon and HBO. It's an incredible film. Just a brilliant cast. Roger Gavin Smith and Coleman Domingo, Gabrielle Union, Penelope Ann Miller. It's just an incredible cast. Armie Hammer. I just was so lucky. And I'm on the red carpet. There's this beautiful little girl. She looks like a Barbie doll. She's like blonde, and she comes over. She says, "Hi, how does it feel, to be a terrible character, to be such a bad guy in this film?" I said, "Well, it's an honor." I said, to be telling my black brothers and sisters, to be telling their story, to be a part of that. And she says, "Does it feel bad?" I said, "No, it feels great because I'm part of the fabric of this story. That's what I'm doing." And I said there were a couple scenes that were rough to shoot, but it was really one of the best experiences I ever had as an actor. And then the second part of it was, she said, well, what do you feel? What do you really think? I said, this is what I do. I take off my shoes, I put on the shoes of my black siblings, and I shut up and listen. Because my opinion does not matter. I don't want people telling me what it's like to be a Jew. I don't want people telling me what it's like to be a gay man. I already know that. I
Mhm.
want to be heard. And when I say something, I want you to know it's true. And a lot of people don't feel that way. They want to tell you, they want to make it better, they want to soften it. Well, it wasn't softened. It was really hard trying to be an actor in the 80s, not even knowing who I was as a person. Even in the 90s, all the things that happened, all the anti-Semitism and the homophobia and you know, stay in your lane, and it still happens. It's still that way now. People decide where you should be because of who you are, and now it's ageism. You know, as I get older. So I guess that's the very long-winded answer.
You know, Jason, again, my friend, I want to thank you for your authenticity, your realness. I mean, you're really opening up and you're helping people to understand. And I love what you said. You know, you put, again, there's empathy and there's compassion. Compassion is when you feel something for somebody, but you haven't been in their shoes. Empathy is you feel for somebody, but you have been in their shoes. And the key in this world, right? It comes to like other people, gay people, this, white. I'm a black male, right? So I don't know what's like to be Jewish or gay, or I don't know that, but I can be compassionate and listen to you and allow you to express your feelings and not try to say, oh, I can make it better. I don't know how to make it better other than just listening and being there and being an active listener. If more people will be an active listener, my friend, like you just said, and lend that ear for people to talk about something, as you so much said, don't talk, listen. Again, Birth of a Nation is one of my favorite movies. As a matter of fact, it's funny. About a week before Stephen told me you were going to come on, I actually bought it on Amazon Prime. So I watched that and I knew about,
Oh wow!
I knew all about Nat Cole and what he did and like,
Wait,
led the
wait,
slave
wait, wait, wait.
rebellion.
You heard about it? You watched it before you knew I was a guest on the show?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh wow!
Oh
Isn't
good
that
Lord,
just
yes.
last week?
Oh, oh,
That's
oh yeah.
that's.
Oh yeah. I loved the movie when it came out because I knew about the slave rebellion. He could read. He was literate. He was a pastor. Like I knew all that because I'm in North Carolina. That's just up in Virginia. So it's one state up. So I knew about this, but I love how you talked about the whole film is all about togetherness and how. And again, I heard that about the leading actor. He was all about helping people, compassion, empathy, and family. And so, again, my friend, what you've done today, you really helped me to remember how important it is to step out of our comfort zone, be courageous, and do things that really challenge us to be our best version of ourselves. So, again, I have one last question, Jason, for people that are listening, want to get into acting or being a comedian that are struggling or don't have the courage or a little bit hesitant, they have that fear, and they're hearing your awesome story today. What is one piece of advice you would give them, my friend, to help them get the confidence in themselves to move forward and not let fear hold them back?
It's a really big, big, big thing, and I'm not the person to tell everybody what to do, but I think that it's really important to get some sort of program in your life, some sort of great therapist, because it's really hard. It's really hard to do that. You find some support, find group friends, tell somebody that you feel is safe. You know, there was a film called Orphans that Albert Finney was in. It's based on a play, and he plays this mafioso guy that adopts these two kids, and he says sometimes you just need a little squeeze of encouragement, and to give that to people. But the other thing is, please come to see my show, and you can laugh your head off, right?
I was just going to say, Jason, please tell our audience about where they can support you, your projects,
I keep
awesome. Again,
forgetting that I'm also I got all these shows that I got to
yeah.
get people
So
to
tell
come.
our audience how they can support you and where they to go. I mean, please, please, the floor is yours.
I don't know when the this is going to be on, but I have a website called jasonstuart.com, Stuart, Stu Art like Stuart Little, but there's nothing little about this guy. And I've got a bunch of shows coming up in April, all over April 10th, 11th, and 12th. I'll be in Santa Barbara, Long Beach, and West Hollywood, and then in the end of the month, I'm going to be on the I think it's the 17th, anything. I'll be in San Diego at the Laugh Factory. So please come. We'll laugh. We'll cry. We'll talk about my mother. She's right now making lunch for me.
I
She says,
love that.
I already took the chops out. We got to do them now. I said, Mom, I only have an hour. Well, I'm not ready to do it yet. Oh God. All right, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm doing a podcast. I know, but you have to come down and open this because if I put the other cut of oil, it's going to be greasy and I can't do it. It doesn't. Mom, I'm going to be late. There's a guy. He's important. He got a big show with a lot of famous people. I know, but he can wait 2 seconds to open this up.
Yes, I can. Because when Mama says do so, I'm second. I know where my place
Oh,
is.
my
I'm good.
mom is.
I'll stay. I'll stay in my lane over here, buddy. I'm
And I
good
can't
over
say
here.
anything about this because it's a secret, but I just did a national commercial and my mom has a little cameo in the commercial. So
Oh,
I'm talking to her.
nice.
So people are going to be really excited. If you go on my social media, you can see my mom has done a lot of videos with me. So she's a little bit, I'm not an actress, And then she, when we were doing Smothered, I said to her, I said, Mom, I'm doing Smothered. She said, well, who's going to play your mother in the second season? I said, well, I got this great, well, I can do it. I said, well, we're shooting it in LA. And she says, oh, no, I can't go to LA. We have to do it in Palm Springs. Bring them here. I said, you're going to have to memorize lines. No, I don't. My fans like me the way I am. I said, well, there's a plot and a
Fancy.
story. I'll make it up. It'll be better.
Oh
You
my
know.
God. Jason, again, such a great interview. Everybody, please, go support Jason. Go to his shows. We'll make sure to get this out before your shows come so everybody can know about them ahead of time. And again,
That'd be
we
great.
have lots of people that are in the California area. San Diego. I have a few clients and friends, so we'll make sure to get this out, let them know about it to support you. So again, everybody, go and support Jason. And the authentic tip of this great interview: in life, have the courage to know who you are and be who you are, and knowing that who you are is more than enough. And again, I'm so honored that Jason stopped by to share his story, his jokes, his ups, his downs, his realness, his authenticity, because what he did today really is the embodiment of authenticity, courage, and that helping others to be the best version of themselves. Again, my name is Marques Ogden. I am the host of the Get Authentic with Marques show. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic day.